Hi everybody, I'm Mike DiStelio, and I am the proud former principal at Bunker Hill, but currently I am the proud director of registration technology and school community outreach. I actually had to read it because it's a very long title. So anyway, it's just a pleasure being here with everybody. I've known many of you since sixth grade, and it's great to see you guys emerge as leaders in your eighth grade year, and I'm sure beyond. We have Miss Egizi here, and my job is to kind of showcase for you guys why I think Miss Egizi's a leader, and then she's going to share with all of you on why you are leaders in her mind. So I had the fortune of meeting Miss Egizi at the end of last summer, right? So Dr. Maselli had moved on to the high school, and we were looking for an assistant principal, and went through many rounds and just couldn't find that person that was just going to be a perfect fit at Bunker Hill. And then we found Miss Egizi, and we waited for her till October, till she could get released from her old school in Pine Hill. But I want you guys to kind of understand how unique it is that somebody who very shortly, like maybe about 15 months ago, was a fourth grade teacher. She's now gone to be the assistant principal and the principal of a middle school. I think Miss Egizi, what you guys don't know is Miss Egizi and I talk all the time about leadership, like constantly. And we talk about kind of who the leaders we want to be. So what I know about Miss Egizi is that I would consider you, we're going to talk about ethical leadership, but I would consider you a courageous and daring leader. And what I mean by that is that you work very hard to make sure that your leadership is sound so that you are positively affecting, by example, all of those around you. I don't think you understand the magnitude of your outreach because you're a very humble person, but your leadership is immense, and it's pretty extraordinary considering, 15 months ago, you weren't even part of Bunker Hill, so the fact that you're leading it with such great things, and it does my heart good. I love this place, and I was very proud of this place, and to pass it off to you is the best thing that could have ever happened to this place. So
thank you.
I think you're exceptional, and I'm wondering, why do you think all of these young folks are exceptional as well?
Thank you. That was a very great intro. These students, particularly, it's kind of, I had to pick leaders in the school. Now, you guys are such great leaders. I don't often get to interact with you in the sense that I sometimes have to correct behaviors. I'm never correcting your behaviors for the most part, right? We have Lucy, who is just one of the most positive influences here at Bunker Hill. So involved in many different things, always helpful and kind to everyone regardless of the situation, doesn't get involved in the drama, and the teachers all feel the same way about all of you. Josh, you again are also involved. You are a role model to younger students. Your brother's here now. I know he looks up to you. You do our honor guard, which is such a great responsibility. So I've also seen you on the police department page playing basketball with police officers. So your reaches of influence are beyond just the school. You're in the community with community members. So it's another reason why you're a leader. And Reed, you just you're a huge example of what a bulldog is. Your grade level of all your teachers from all your grades have just commended your behavior and candor, and he's also our Danny Rosmus Spirit Award recipient. So, one of them. So, again, you just are an example just by simply being who you are. You don't even have to try. People just know what you bring to the table. So that's awesome.
Thank you. Congratulations. So, Ms. Egizi, before I ask all of our leaders here some questions, how do you see yourself as a leader?
It's strange because it's been 15 months, so it's a new role that I'm embracing, and I'm growing each day in my own leadership. So I think that's my unique experience, is like I'm still evolving my leadership right now. But the whole reason why I even got into leadership was because I cared about the students, I cared about the staff members, I cared about the community, and the one thing that I think I'm strong at is I can tend to see like a whole picture. I see a lot of little pieces, and I see how they fit in a larger scheme. And I want to lead ethically. I want to lead responsibly. So I also make sure that, the decisions I made are vetted by the people who need to be vetted, need to be included. I try to get staff voices, parent voices, student voices, because that's what a leader does. They lead and coach and guide. They're not the end all be all.
Excellent, thank you. So, Reed, one of the things about you is that you in 6th grade you got on the wall down there at the cafeteria. What is your quality, your pillar?
I think it's responsibility.
Okay, that's not surprising. So you're on the wall for responsibility. So early on, your teacher saw something in you. Your 6th grade teachers that you were a leader. Come full circle, you're a Erasmus Award winner now, and congratulations. And that's big time, right? Like if I was a middle school kid, 2 awards I would want to get would be a Erasmus Award and People's Choice Award, right? So you have one of the 2. And it's just I just want to know about, Ms. Egizi talked about you're that quiet leader. You legit lead by example, right? So talk to me about your leadership a little bit.
I think, instead of telling people to do, I try to get them to, maybe follow what I do, and try not to make them exactly like me, but make them the best version of themselves, and try to, because you could see somebody's potential, but sometimes they can't, show it all the way, and just try to help them get to that full potential that they have.
Nice. Josh, how do you lead?
As a leader, I feel like you have to take accountability for things, and when people are down sometimes, you have to pick them up, and it can be in sports or in school, just to help them be a better of themselves and improve every day.
Mm-hmm. Outstanding.
I think one of the things that I mostly try to do is when I see someone in the hallway that seems like they have a bad day, I just talk to them. Even if I don't know them, it helps them realize that whatever happened to them isn't the end of the world, and it makes me feel good about myself, and it makes them feel better about themselves too. So I think one of the things is just making people know that I care.
Nice. And you're in a unique situation too with, you're a very accomplished singer, you're defending your Idol title coming up, right? And sometimes our talents help us lead by example as well, whether you're a singer, whether you're an athlete. What you do in the classroom and on the field is important too. What you do at chess, that's important too, right? So, and you guys also most of you help with Team Up, right? Or are all of you part of Team Up?
Yeah.
You're not chosen to be part of Team Up just by accident. You're chosen because of your temperament and your ability to work with everybody. Which brings me to my next thing, the qualities of a bulldog, right? So one of them is Team Up, right? A bulldog respects everybody regardless of their, their abilities, regardless of their race, their age, their preferences, and people glom onto that, and they want to be around people like that. So the other pillar is the life of purpose is rooted in the service of others. So, I've Miss Egizi and I constantly talk, and we feel that service is most important in what you do. This year, my job is pretty much all that. Yesterday we were out and it was 19 degrees. Miss Egizi's a skier, and I was more prepared for the cold than she was. But we were serving, food for the food bank, and it was freezing cold. Dr. Hibbs was there, Dr. Maselli was there, Frau Berry from Orchard Valley was there, and it was something that we felt that we had to do because it was the right thing to do. So taking care of others, respecting others based on their abilities or differences, or leading in times of service. What is the biggest thing you subscribe to as a bulldog? Which one of those two?
I would say service, because I think helping people who are less fortunate than us. I feel like we're very blessed to be in a great school like this, and a lot of people don't get to have for example, Thanksgiving dinner like we do, and we did a lot of boxes this year, and I think it's very nice that we were able to give those families who usually don't have that kind of specialty that this year.
Great.
I agree with Reed for service because I feel like some people can't get or afford as many things as we do, and we're kind of lucky that we have all these things that we have, especially at this school, that other schools and certain other towns can't have.
I think service also, because the one thing that, I'm also a Girl Scout, and one of the biggest things that we pay attention to is serving others, because not a lot of people can even be a part of outside of school clubs and activities. Either they can't afford it or they just don't have that privilege. And I feel like thinking about it actually makes you realize how fortunate you are, and it makes you want to help others more than you want to help yourself.
Correct.
That makes me just really proud. I mean, obviously, service is a huge part of Bunker Hill, and that's another reason why I'm just very blessed. My leadership is being shaped by your previous leadership and the culture already here at Bunker Hill. But I truly believe that we're only as good when we work together and we support one another. There's no hierarchy in anyone in this building when it comes to just your worth and value. So doing these acts of service as much as we can, making it a requirement for the Bulldog Bash, I just emphasizes that it's a core belief for us. And it really just, makes a difference in your own lives. I mean, I think you all kind of said it in different ways, but like when we serve others, it's also rewarding for us.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the 6 principles of ethical leadership. So one of the things as you grow up, and maybe you're doing this now as 8th graders, there are people that come into your lives that shape your vision about leadership, right? So sometimes we're around really awful leaders and we're like, oh man, when I grow up, I'm not going to be like that at all. Sometimes we're around awesome leaders that kind of shape our mindset and things like that. I believe, and this is kind of why we're doing the podcast, it's hard to find good adult leaders nowadays. Miss Egizi and I talk about it. Like it's whether it's the world, the country, the locality, our neighbors, somebody at a restaurant, it's hard to find people who are leading with the proper way, And so to come down to our 8th graders and then to our high school kids and find those leaders, that's important to us because it allows us to know that our work will live on. Whether you guys, are teachers, you don't have to be teachers or educators, but to be leaders in whatever field you decide to do, and that's, that comes into play in every facet of life. So I listened to a podcast which is it's called Human Capital Leadership, and it's going based on what Miss Egizi said, where everybody is kind of equal and you kind of get information from various people, and that kind of helps with your decision making, right? So this particular episode talks about 6 leadership principles of ethical leadership. So it's accountability, courage, character and integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. I'll read those again slowly. Accountability, courage, character and integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. I'm interested to find out, where do you see yourself among the 6? So while you're thinking about that, I'll let Ms. Egizi talk about where she sees herself on the 6. Accountability, courage, character and integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness.
You have to pick just one.
You don't have to. You can take it any direction.
I mean, you'll understand this. I think my biggest one where I fall is it you said self-reflection?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness and empathy. I try, being a leader, we were talking about good and bad leaders. I think people can get into leadership for the wrong reasons and the right reasons. I hope with every core of my being that I'm in it for the right reasons, and I believe that. But in addition to that, we talk about I'm a principal now, but leadership can be at any level, right? You're leading your family, you're leading in whatever role you're in. It doesn't mean you're just in a position of, at the top of a jobs hierarchy, but, there's many different ways where we lead. So for me personally, I do feel like I'm a natural leader, but one of my biggest things is I'm always very self-reflective. I always want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And sometimes the right thing is not the most agreeable thing for everybody else. So that kind of throws in the courageous part where I have to be okay with sometimes making those tough decisions that not everyone agrees with, but also be self-reflective in that moment. Did I make sure I spoke to everyone that I needed to? Did I make my decision based off facts and evidence that I have gathered, not just off a whim? So I'm very self-reflective, almost to a fault. So I gotta calm down and be like, you're doing great. But I think it's more of a problem when you stop being self-aware. That's when you know you're not going down the right path.
Josh, I'll forward that to you.
I think accountability is one of the bigger things, because a lot of people like to reflect their mistakes off of what somebody else did, but I feel like you have to if something bad happens, you have to take accountability for what you did and how could you fix it.
Do you have an example without saying names or whatever,
So-
in your life? How did you hold yourself accountable?
So at sports,
Okay.
soccer, because soccer's my favorite.
Okay.
Say something happens and another team scores. Sometimes it's most of the time it could be my fault for making a bad pass or something, and then the other team scores.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Lucy?
I would say empathy is one of the ones that I would focus on more, and also self-awareness, because it is very important to be aware of what you're doing and how you might affect others. And but with empathy, I feel like sometimes the biggest thing is to listen to people and how they feel, and then it helps me feel for them.
Excellent.
If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Reed?
I'd probably say self-awareness and accountability.
Nice.
For accountability, I would definitely say, if you do make a mistake, you can't, blame it on somebody else. You have to be able to put that on yourself, especially as a leader. If something, if you tell somebody to put something somewhere and that's where it's supposed to go, that's kind of on you. The second one would definitely be self-awareness. My mom told me that there's, always somebody better than you. So I try to keep that mindset to try to just keep topping myself and keep pushing to be, the best version of myself.
Very good. Very good. So the next thing that I kind of wanted to tell everybody was that you might not realize this because it comes naturally to you, but you as young people having this leadership aspect to yourself is a very rare thing. We went to school for it. Maybe we had that talent along the way anyway, but we went to school to learn how to do that and stuff. And even still, people in our school, some people do a good job, some people don't do a good job. The fact that you all are 13 and 14 years old and already are getting recognized by your principal, your teachers as far as leaders, it's very clear. I've lived long enough to know that 10 years from now, you guys are going to be in great leadership positions. You're going to be great family people. It's a very simple formula, and you guys all have that. So I just wanted to congratulate all of you guys on that. We do a little thing before we end where we kind of throw some things out there to people, and I just want to get their reflection, right? So we talk about that person in our life who has kind of shaped us to who we are, right? And it could be a couple people, it could be one individual, but one of the things that, I'll just ask that question to Miss Egizi first, and you guys can think about that special someone in your life, and then I'll follow that up with a last minute thing. Excuse me.
So I would say I was raised, my mom's one of 9, and I have 6 aunts, and they're loud and they're boisterous and fierce. And I would say that the women in my life have shaped just my own personality and view on leadership, about that kind of courageous, about taking the appropriate risks and never settling for less, always striving for the best that you can be. In addition, just that empathy that has been instilled from my parents, the way that they raised me, and just giving back and volunteering at a very young age. I knew that I wanted to be in service, and in leadership, some people don't think of it as an area of service, but as we have discussed, it is an area of service. And then I've been fortunate enough to have great leaders in all the districts that I worked in, and everyone gave me a different piece of encouragement and added to my leadership style. But obviously, Mr. DeCilio added a lot. As that last year, I learned a lot from you. I'm very grateful for that. So those are my people.
Thank you. Gary.
I would have to say probably my grandfather. He was a big influence. Not that he was loud and he would tell people what to do, but he was actually like very quiet, and people just respected him so much they would follow what he did to try to be like the person he was, and he would put us before himself a lot of the times. And every day, I want to try to be the person that he was.
I'd say probably my dad. He always pushes me to what I could do and make me the best version of myself every day, and he gives me a lot of things a lot of other people can't, so I'm fortunate that he's in my life.
Very nice.
I would have to say my mom and my dad, because like throughout my whole life they've just always been there for me, and I knew that I could always go to them with anything that I had to say, and it just makes me feel good to know that there's someone that I can talk to. Another person would be Miss Dickinson, because she's definitely helped me through these past 3 years, and like the first time I met her, I just knew that it would just be so much. It's very easier. It's very easy to talk to her, and she's just always there for everyone, and she's always respecting everyone else. And it's like, I feel like she's one of those people who you can just know to go and talk to, and she's a very like happy person. So
Very nice, very nice. So I would encourage you guys, whether some of us have family members in our life that are living and deceased that have helped shape us, but one of the things, Bunker Hill just had a student who graduated in 2020, and he just passed away, and he had different medical complications and stuff, and it just led me to believe that, for those people that matter to us, whether we said them now or not, it's important that we tell them how much value they hold in our lives, because this poor student was 25 years old, and we don't expect a 25-year-old to pass away, but it's important that we tell people right away how much we feel about how much we revere them. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. It's a very hard thing to talk about yourself and to talk about your leadership, but just know that there's so many people that value you here, and so many people that think you're doing great work, all four of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.